So today I have got the lovely Ruth Holroyd with me, and Ruth is someone that I've known for quite a long time, isn't it? It must be 7 or 8 years, I guess.
Yeah, going back through the allergy shows.
Yeah. So I met Ruth through my blog when I started sharing freeform recipes. And Ruth has got an incredible blog, and we'll put all the details of all the links to all of your stuff in the comments, and make sure that people know how to find you. Um, but yeah, Ruth has had quite an incredible journey over the last 18 months or so.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, a bit longer. I was
Is
working
it?
it out. It was January 2019
Oh,
that I started the biggest part of my journey.
wow. So yeah, Ruth has got multiple anaphylactic allergies, and has also been, well, what do you call it? Withdrawing, I guess, from topical steroid
Yeah.
use. And I just think she is the most inspiring person in this area. She's just, I don't know how you've done the last 2 years, or even the last 8 that I've known you, from all the things that have happened to you. And I just really wanted to introduce you to people, to kind of give them a sense of, well, obviously hope, because that's the whole point in these conversations, but just to see that we're never stuck with what we are diagnosed with. That I guess health is always moving; it's never a fixed thing.
Mm.
Um, and so yeah, I just think it would be so valuable for people to know some of your story, of what you've been through. And because I mean, for a start, I had no idea about topical steroids being an issue. I mean, I've used them on my eczema, and I've used them on my kids' eczema, and I've never. I mean, I just did that. I had eczema. I went to the doctors. That seemed like what I had to do. So it
Mm.
would just be so interesting to hear, what you've been through, and just a bit about what topical steroids do. And
Oh
yeah.
yeah, it's interesting because not everybody does get this. It's easy for people that get addicted and go through withdrawal to be so angry and want steroids to be banned, because I ultimately was given something to heal me that made me so bad, and I'll get into that in a minute, but it does work for some people. So it's like, how do they, and there's been so much little research, how do we work out which people are likely to be addicted and which people will be fine? Because it clears up, it's like magic when you first start using it.
Yeah.
And I think part of the problem for me was that no one looked at what was causing my eczema. And if you're just using something like a sticky plaster, and we are quite guilty of that, our culture, that we're so busy, we just want to take a pill or get something that's a quick fix. We want to go to the doctor and want to come away with the solution and get better, and that doesn't always happen. So my eczema, I think, is caused by lots of things, which I never discovered until I started getting a lot older and having control over my own health. So when I was 10 or 12, I was just given steroids because they worked.
Yeah.
And then as I got older, I developed more allergies, and as I started to discover what the allergies were, I realized that they were linked to my eczema. But by that point, I'd been using the steroids pretty much consistently, and I couldn't stop using them. My skin would always get worse. So you then start into the addiction pattern. If it doesn't get better, they give you more.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't get better, they give you stronger ones. And then if it's still not getting better, they give you even stronger ones. Then you're on the pills, which are awful. Oral steroids are much more, they made me really sick. The topical steroids are kind of slower, and they affect all the organs in your body because your skin is naturally trying to get stuff out. There's a problem, and it's trying to get a message to you to say, hang on, it's not, the adrenals aren't working, the lymphs aren't, I need some help, there's something wrong here. And that's what the skin reaction is. And we ignore it, and we just make it go away like magic, and all those organs go, oh, I don't need to do that anymore, I'll go on holiday. And I had very poorly performing adrenals. My lymphs were just so swollen, and my immune system was just getting worse and worse, because I eventually ended up in immunosuppressants when the steroids there were no steroids strong enough to help me anymore. So I then went on immunosuppressants. And so then not only my organs all stopped working, because you still keep using the steroids and go on immunosuppressants.
Gosh.
The immune system was not working anymore either. And I just knew that it was bad when they start saying it's still not working, we'll try you on another drug. And I just felt like I was on this horrible path. I knew things weren't working properly in my body because I wasn't sleeping, and like one day without the steroids and I would start to deteriorate. And I thought, but my eczema was never that bad in the first place. And I just started dreaming about having my old eczema back because I could manage that, you know?
Wow.
And to start off with, I was in denial because people, like you talked about my blog, I used to talk about my eczema on my blog and share pictures and say, oh, the steroids are really working, or the immunosuppressants are really working. People were commenting saying that you need to look into steroid withdrawal, looking at your skin, that's what you've got. And I was in massive denial because I researched it and thought, it's horrible. If you Google steroid withdrawal and look at pictures, it's like, it's a trigger. If you were going to do this, just as a warning, the pictures you see are horrific because you turn into like a monster. And I'm not joking. The skin just completely breaks down. You ooze, liquid comes out. And I think that's from the lymph system is just trying to drain. Very suddenly the skin breaks down and it's the easiest way out. And it's horrible. People look like a monster. I was really lucky with what happened to me. It was still bad, but I didn't get as bad as I worried that I would get. But it was still a whole body oozing, weeping. I've got some bandages on a bit here today because I'm still going through it. But it's been 2 years at least of really, really struggling, not sleeping, having nerve pain. The skin just deteriorates. And you just kind of have to slowly heal. And I just gave up work and decided, right, I'm going to have to do it. And when your doctor's saying, yeah, you won't be able to do this now, you know they won't admit that you're addicted, but they're like, you can't stop taking them. You just got eczema, you're going to have to use them for the rest of your life. And I was like, I don't want to.
Wow.
So I don't know what made me do it, really. I just suddenly thought, right, the doctors must be wrong. And all these people, like, people say don't Google your ailment, but in this case, it has really been an eye-opener, and I'm so glad I did it.
So when you first had eczema as a child, was it confined to certain areas of the body and then just got worse, or?
Yeah, it was like typical. So people get it on the elbow crease, backs of the legs. So it was like that sort of typical eczema, childhood eczema, and it wasn't great. My legs were quite bad, but I never had it on my face. But go to the doctor and that's what they give you, hydrocortisone. So you start off on hydrocortisone, which is the lowest, and then eventually that stops working and you go up a level. Because I was drinking milk all that time. Milk's one of my biggest allergies now. I'm pretty sure that if I'd stopped drinking milk, my eczema probably would have cleared up. They do now with babies, isn't it? The first time I had eczema since I was a baby, and I think they now do test for things like that straight away. So I had an allergy, and I was pretty much told you can't be allergic to anything else. That's just too much. You know, it's rare to be allergic to nuts, but you can't be allergic to milk as well. So we just didn't really look into it.
So you were diagnosed with your nut allergy as a child as well?
Quite young, yeah.
And the milk?
Milk, I just always hated it. You know, when kids just don't like stuff, and I think that's a sign that it's not good for them.
Yeah.
They know, children know, they don't have to explain that they know. Like, it used to make me sick, and I just used to think, well, I'm not going to have that. And I would, for years, I just avoided milk, but it's very hard to completely avoid it.
And that's so interesting. I just want to I really want to know that, because I find that really fascinating. And it seems to me that as we get older, like as children, we innately know what we should and shouldn't eat. But as the parents or as the adults looking after those children, we have preconceived ideas about what they should be eating and try and make them eat it, as you know, to get like a rounded diet or whatever. But we had exactly the same experience with my daughter. So she never really wanted to eat bread and pasta and things like that. And then consequently, you know, turned out she had celiac disease. And it's just, it does seem to me like if we could just trust that our children are not eating certain things because they know not to.
Yeah.
And as adults, we become completely disconnected to that, to our body
signals. And they're intuitively working it out. Yeah. Where it takes us quite a lot of time, that detective work of like, oh, what happened what did I eat day, because we eat so many things in a day, don't we?
Yeah,
Just
and
try
a
to
lot of it,
pinpoint the one.
I think what's so interesting is that a lot of it we eat because it's just a habit of eating that thing, not
Mm.
necessarily because we want it, or might be because we think it's healthy or we should have it, but not because we feel our body actually wants it.
And milk as well, when we were younger. Well, I think we're a similar-ish. I might be a bit older than you, but there was this whole marketing around milk. Everyone had milk at school, and it was the thing you had to have. So yeah, my parents were telling me I needed to have some.
Yeah.
Making me have it.
And what age were you
I was
diagnosed with?
sick. Why would you not be like, no, I'm not going to give my child this anymore? My dairy allergy, I wasn't diagnosed until my 30s, really.
Wow.
I just used to avoid it. So I would have said I had an intolerance because it used to bring my eczema up really badly. And I avoided it so well, got rid of my eczema so well. And then I just used to have these binges. So I would go out and be like, I'm just going to have some cheese and suffer the consequences. But it went from being a skin reaction, and I cut them out so well.
Yeah.
My body, when I had scrambled eggs with milk, cream, butter in it. Really enjoyed it, actually. How nice it was. It was like a treat in a pub, and it just, my body was like, what are you doing? And I had an anaphylactic reaction. I'd had them before, and I just assumed it was to peanuts or something in the bread.
Wow.
And it took a long time to work out what it was, because I went back to the pub and said, I told you I had an allergy. And they said, yeah, you did. Yeah. It was just Hovis. And they were showing me the packet. It's just bread. There's no nuts in it. So I had to then work out what it was. And they thought it was eggs, but I had the egg test done, they were negative. I'm like, what was it then?
Wow. Only one thing left.
Yeah, well, you say you had scrambled eggs, so they just test for eggs.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But they were made with a lot of dairy. So yeah, 35 or something, which is ridiculous.
Wow. And so when you did that, as well as having the anaphylactic reaction, did you then just find that your skin had kind of really reacted as well?
No, weirdly, the skin reaction is less now. It used to be bad, like it would trigger a flare that would last for like a week, more than a week. And now it doesn't really affect my skin. It's just an anaphylactic reaction. So it's very weird how the body can change its reactions.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure why.
And that's the thing, I think that's what's fascinating for
Fascinating.
me at the moment, is that whole idea that no moment is the same, and that goes for our health in any moment as well. So
Yeah.
on one day we may react to something, the next day we may not, and it's just that that nothing stays the same. So, and for me there's so much hope in that, because what you may have today you may not have, although the medical profession will tell you that that's your diagnosis for life, with your eczema, that's it, you're going to have it forever. I don't know, it's just a different way of approaching it, is to look at it as, in this moment my body is responding to something, and I have this condition, but that's not a permanent, it's not who I am, it's not what I have.
No.
Just in this moment.
The other thing I did explore, and I was really lucky to have some counselling, and that was more about the anaphylactic reactions, which I had started getting worse ones, and they were so bad, like that I would be ill so quickly and be unconscious and have no memory of what happened. And which really terrified me, and I was having a lot of panic attacks, and I didn't really realise it was linked. It's weird how the brain takes a while to catch up. When you're like, this all makes sense now. I've been having panic attacks for a long time and just not calling them panic attacks, because I'm not someone that would have panic attacks. I'm quite strong, I'll get on with things. That's how I was brought up. Don't complain, get on with it, put your socks up, dust yourself off, you'll be fine. You can't live life in a bubble, that kind of mentality.
Yeah.
But I've been having them for years to varying degrees, and the final one that made me really scared was when I just couldn't walk. I just collapsed, couldn't breathe, couldn't walk. I'd never had one that bad before. Thought I was having a heart attack, actually. It was quite terrifying. But I started having some counselling, and that really taught me that yes, things do change, but maybe they won't. because I can't change my allergies unless they find a cure. So I need to find a way to live with that. And maybe my skin won't get better. So I need to find a way to sit with that. And it can be uncomfortable, it can be painful. And sometimes I'm a bit itchy now, I think, because I'm thinking about it. What if it doesn't get better? And so when I was in the depths of steroid withdrawal, thinking, what do I do? Do I use the steroids again? And I could see that I was healing. So I did have hope, and I could see that other people had healed. But being in that moment and being angry and being upset, and the panic and the anxiety was coming back. We have a pandemic going on through a lot of it as well. I was losing the plot a little bit again, and I just thought, well, what if this is my life? What if I have to live? What if I don't go out? What if my skin's this bad and it hurts like this? Could I live like that? And I didn't really want to, but in the moment when it's hurting, can I sit with discomfort? And that has been really powerful. And also learning to love myself, even though I can't, because there's things you can't change. I can't change my allergies. I can't change the fact that I'm atopic, and I probably always have eczema. So there's things you can change and things you can't. And you can't keep beating yourself up about the things you can't change. And having a chat with you as well about that child that's caught up inside that we've forgotten about, that knows what to do. So I used to just take myself off, do some colouring, go and run, go and do. As a kid, I was always doing the right things if I look back, but I've forgotten what they were, and I've forgotten how to be that person. To have all these barriers up and layers that you build up. So yeah, that's been really helpful, learning to love myself, because I realized that I didn't really. There was one counselling session where, and this is the one I will never forget, where I realized that I actually, not only did I not love myself, I hated myself. So we did this whole session about empathy and how she was picking up on how empathetic I can be for other people. And then it's like, how do you turn that around on yourself? Say to yourself that you love yourself. Say something kind to yourself. And I was just like, what, out loud? And she said, yeah, just say it out loud. And I was like, no, I can't. And she's like, well, say it in your head. And I was like, oh, I could say it. And she's like, but can you say it out loud? And I was just crying, just suddenly crying and like wailing. You know, when you think you can hear someone in the next room wailing and you realize it's actually you. Someone actually came to the door, was like, is everything all right? Like, yeah, just having a moment. And it took me a long time to be able to say those. She said, you don't have to mean it, just say it out loud. You don't have to mean it at first, but you have to keep saying it, and you have to keep thinking about why you love everyone else. Well, not everyone, but why you have empathy for everyone else and not yourself. And it doesn't really make sense when you look at it like that, because I don't know why. All of these things are wrong that I'm telling myself, and it's only me that ever, do you know what I mean? I might have been bullied in the past. People might have said harsh things, but it's me.
Yeah.
It's not anyone else.
Yourself.
Me doing this.
Yeah.
Which is hard to learn that.
It is crazy, isn't it? And that was me all my life, like kind of basically spent thinking that I was rubbish, that I was everything, and why would anyone be interested in anything I had to do, or, you know, just so much of that.
And it's not from other people. There's an old person that said things that have been very unfair and very cruel, but only a few.
Yeah.
And you don't have to believe them. Then they're wrong. You don't have to go along with what they say. Funny, isn't it?
It's so interesting. I think one of the things that's kind of really becoming clearer for me is that whole absolutely having compassion for myself or my body, in that up until very recently, I would see something that was wrong with my body, like my IBS or my eczema or whatever it might be, and would just be like, oh, you know, this is just, why is it, why is this, why have I got to have this, and I hate my tummy, or I hate my skin, or, you know, just a real like dislike of, and that, you know, dislike of myself, effectively, of my body. And then realizing recently that, as you said, that those symptoms are just your body's way of talking to you. Like symptoms are only ever your body trying to wake you up, trying to tell you that something else is going on, that we're massively caught up in our thinking, or totally consumed with our crazy made up world in our heads of fear and whatever else is going on up there, disgust and hate, and it's our body's way of communicating with us. And if we can look at it like that, for me, that has massively changed so much, because then I'm like, oh, that's so kind of you, like you're trying to tell me something. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna just be quiet and see if I can hear what to do.
Because if your child was saying to you, Mummy, I don't feel right and my tummy hurts, you wouldn't say, oh, time, shut up.
Yeah.
I can't help you with that. It's not my problem. You wouldn't speak like that. But those are the voices we use in our head. We're just like, keep going. You've got stuff to do. You've got deadlines.
Yes.
Untidy your room. You just wouldn't make someone do all these things.
No, I know.
Just take a step back and think, no one dies if this doesn't happen, and I take some time out to go for a walk now, or do yoga, or just do nothing. This all mindfulness, and I do love mindfulness, but there's actually a word, I saw someone on Instagram post the other day, mindlessness, which is a bit, actually, we don't have to be mindful all the time. Actually, you can just be completely frivolously, ridiculously playful and mindless about anything. You just do what you feel like in the moment, and everyone else, which I really liked.
And something that I heard yesterday about self-care, because I've always had this kind of like, oh, self-care, what does that mean? Like going and lying in a bath, well, I can't be bothered, like it's not even comfortable, why would I want to do that? Or go to the spa and spend £200, I'm like, all right, it just doesn't, I don't want to do that, that's not, and this person was basically saying, self-care is just listening to what your body wants right now in this moment, and that will change in this moment. So it might be like, I wrote about it on Instagram yesterday, I need a wee, like actually realizing that my body's telling me I need to go, rather than sit here and like do another 2 hours work, or oh, I'm really thirsty, I need a drink. That's self-care. It's like that whole concept that it's things that you should do. No, it doesn't have to be. It just is about stopping and listening to what you want now.
And I think mindfulness has a lot going for it, but sometimes it makes you feel like, we were talking about the Miracle Morning the other day, which I have learned stuff from, but actually that's like really strict and really regimented. And for people that don't know, the Miracle Morning is a brilliant book, actually. I did learn a lot from it, where you get an hour earlier, and you do 10 minutes of each of these different exercises, like gratitude, journaling, and it's brilliant. I learned things there that I find really helpful, but I couldn't keep doing that. I couldn't get up at 6 and do it every morning and keep doing all those things, because I didn't enjoy some of them. Like, really, well, I'm failing, I can't do this thing.
And it's another thing to use as a stick to beat yourself with, or I'm not getting up early enough, or I'm not doing a gratitude journal, I must be a bad person.
Exactly. But some of the things I really enjoyed, so it's all about learning from different things. Like spa days are obviously not for you, not for me either. I hate them. It's like, oh no, don't touch me. I don't put anything on my skin that I'm not in control of. But you do like being ashamed of it. Like, I have a big teddy bear that I cuddle sometimes, and I just go and sit with him and cuddle Big Ted. I also like colouring in colouring books like kids have.
I love colouring.
As if that's what I go and do for half an hour. Into stories at bedtime. I love that. Until we get to sleep. I'm still a big kid.
Well, we all are. It's just that we pretend we're not. That's the crazy thing, isn't it? And the more we, like you said, the more we can tune into the guidance that we have within us, that we were born with, that we were so connected to as children. We just innately knew to go and colour, or to go and take the bike out and go around the block, or whatever it was.
Play with our teddies, whatever.
And now it's like the noise in our heads tells us, oh no, we've got to go and wash the dishes, or hoover the floor, or and that becomes what we listen to, rather than that inner knowing of what's right for us. I would love to know, so maybe to finish up, I would be so interested to know, like, how have you come to peace with it? So you talked about how you kind of saw that you wouldn't, you were going to have these allergies, and you were going to have this eczema and whatever for the rest of your life possibly. And you know, the question of, can I live with that in this pain or discomfort? Like, how have you come to peace with it?
It's really hard, because sometimes I think I've really got it sussed and I'm fine, and I'm very, have to be very organized about it and very realistic. So I have to have certain rules, and I have to have these rules to keep me safe. So I have to carry my adrenaline. I have to be very careful where I eat when I eat out, and don't eat anything if it's got ingredients as an element. Check the ingredients first. So I have some rules now, and I have to stick by them. But I kind of can't live my life in a bubble, and I did have a very small life for a while where I just didn't go out, didn't go anywhere that would be dangerous, but that's no fun, and I couldn't see my friends or be involved in stuff. And actually realizing that it's not anything to be ashamed of, and no one, and I mean no one, apart from stupid people on the internet that have nothing better to do, has ever been unsympathetic. So for me, it's more about starting to talk about it, starting to tell people how awkward I feel. And nobody has ever been unkind. Hardly any restaurants. People have turned me away, but in actual fact, that's a kindness, because if they can't keep me safe, then I'd rather they did that.
Yeah.
So it's about kind of owning it and not being ashamed of it, because if I had a different sort of disability, there's no reason for anyone to be ashamed of anything that's wrong with them. And yet allergies seem to have this stigma of being fussy and a bit of a freak and a pain in the backside and just being really awkward. And we're not, we're just unable to eat certain foods, and we deserve to be taken seriously, and we deserve respect, and we deserve honesty from people. We don't no, people don't have to cater for me, but they do need to say, not safe here, or this is what we can do. And that's really helped me to be more comfortable with it, and not to get upset when things don't go my way. I'm not going to starvation because I can't eat that meal. The other day I just didn't eat something because I just wasn't happy about it, and the restaurant were a bit sniffy, and I just thought, I'm not happy with that, I'm not going to eat it. So just sat there, enjoyed the coffee, chatted to my friends. I was like, I don't trust that woman, I'm not going to eat it. Probably was fine, but in the moment I was just like, trust your instincts. So maybe I should have taken it, got it tested, but I'm going to be okay, hopefully. And the chances of having a serious reaction are very, very, very slim. Yeah. I think there's a 99% chance that you won't have a fatal reaction. Don't want to say the word really. 1% chance I'll be fine, and a 1% chance I won't. And I've had loads of reactions, and I've got better from all of them. So I'm a 100% good at surviving anaphylactic reactions. So those are the sort of things that I tell myself. But there is in the back of your mind this little voice that says someone died the other day and it could be you next time. So I never lose that, but I think that anxiety is good. It's keeping me safe. It's keeping me always doing those things and having those in place. But it is a hard one to balance. Yeah.
And it sounds like you've got a beautiful balance. And like that sort of, it sounds to me like you've got that real strong kind of knowing. Like we all have it. It's just that we don't listen to it or know it's there. But for you to just not feel comfortable about eating something and to decide, but I'm going with that.
Yeah.
We cannot explain the stuff that we know. We don't need to. If we just trust it, then we're going to be safe. It's like, that's it, isn't it?
And the times when it's gone wrong, if I look back, there were alarm bells. So then now if I get an alarm bell, that's a sign for me not to eat something. So hopefully I'll stick by that, because sometimes you just forget, you're just not listening in the moment. Well,
it sounds like you're pretty well connected in there now. And
I'm trying, I'm getting there. And I'll just say no as well. That's another good lesson to learn, just to say no when you don't want to go out somewhere. Sometimes I am just feeling very anxious about everything, and I'm not going to go out for a meal. I'm going to say no.
No, and again, that's it, isn't it? That's your intuition. That's your knowing. Like, No, not today. It's just not.
Not today, because I'll probably cry and run out of the restaurant.
Yeah,
But that's okay.
it is. It is absolutely okay. And it's just following what feels right.
But I wouldn't be here today if I hadn't had that counselling. I was so lucky to get it, and I know that it's not available for a lot of people, and going private, it's expensive. There are options out there. Maybe we can put some links to them at the bottom of this as well. Like, there are charities that will work with you, and you pay what you can afford, but it's not easy to get your hands on the right kind of therapy because it won't be tailored to someone with allergies. And that's what I really would love to get. I've talked to my dermatologist, who's also my allergy specialist, and they want that. They're applying for it because they can see I managed to get it on the NHS, but the waiting list for it is so long that they have so many patients that would benefit from it because they can see how much it helped me.
Yeah.
But they haven't got the funding, and the NHS is just so stretched at the moment. So it's a really difficult one. But if we could write these courses, get some specialists and help us write it, it's going to take a while, but that's one of my things I'd love to do, is to write one for people with allergies and one for people with skin problems. It needs to be tailored.
Yeah, and everything that you do is about raising awareness and helping people to get through, what you effectively have lived and still live through. And I think that's it's so amazing to do that and to offer that and to help people. So yeah, like I said, I will definitely put all the links and everything. But if you want to tell people verbally, where all your things are, and
and also if they want to get help, and I'm not sure if you should mention other people on here, but I know that Emma Amascato also done a similar lot of work on the mind side of the allergy aspect, and I know she's working on projects at the moment. So if people need help, she's a great person to speak to, because I know she has done a few little courses and she's working on things as we speak.
yeah,
So she's helped me a lot as well. Talking to her, she's very grounded. Yeah.
Yeah, and her experiences with children, so
yeah,
particularly with children with anaphylactic allergies. So.
Imagine being a parent and you don't have the allergy yourself, your child does, you can't. I mean, I just can't even imagine what that's like. I just keeping myself safe as an adult is hard enough, but as a parent, that must be really difficult, to not let your kids see that you're feeling anxious and on their behalf. Not easy.
No. So as you say, if there's anybody who has been touched by what you've said and they've got children that they have got allergies or eczema, then yeah, Emma is
I'm 47 and my mum will still check that I've got my adrenaline with me sometimes.
Yeah.
Check, where are you going? What are you doing? What are you eating?
Yeah. Well, as a parent, you never are not a parent. That never goes, I guess. But yeah, do you want to just tell people where your website is and what to follow on social media? And
yes, my website is whatallergy.com, and my Insta, Twitter, Facebook, everything on all the things is just What Allergy. Just look for What Allergy.
And it's amazing what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. I think what you're doing is amazing too. And just one session with you opened up some really interesting things to think about, which was the whole onion layers side of us that we just put all these layers on. So thank you for inviting me to talk to you today. It's been a privilege.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I'm sure that what you've shared will be incredibly helpful to lots of people. Very hopeful. Thank you.
Hopefully. Thank you.
I will speak to you soon.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Ruth.
Bye-bye.